Greetings, my dearest comrades. Welcome to Kerbal Space Program, Episode 1. Yes, it's happening. It's Friday. I think I'm gonna stick to uploading these every Friday. You know, me and schedules, we've never really gotten along in games or in YouTube or in real life, but I'm gonna give it a go, just because that means there's some predictability in how this will unfold. Of course, if things go too slow, I can start uploading more than once a week for Kerbal Space Program, but in any case, here we are. So, of course, you can see there's no graphical mods at the moment. I will have a discussion about the mods in just a moment. You also see Kerbal X is right there in the corner, which is good news. It only took, I think, 2 or 3 years, but hey, in the scale of the universe, it's a blink of an eye. So let's begin. Start the game. Wait. Go back. Get ready. I want to take a picture here. F12. There. Actually, I should probably press F1. Anyway, I don't know if it will work in the menu, but we'll find out. Just this is a great thumbnail, so I'll have a look at making something interesting for our new series. Right, start game. So, the one that I made last time with the mods, I deleted that. Obviously, nothing really happened there, so we're going to start one together today. Career, of course, we have to work our way up, and this is also a way of doing the career for one last time. Obviously, all of us have played the career at some point, but I think just because this will continue right until KSP2 comes out, or if we still have things that we want to do in KSP1, we'll just continue. Who says it has to end? So let's name this The Last YouTube Series, and this starts in April, at the end of April anyway, 2021. There, so it's impossible to forget. The flag, I have a couple of numbers and letters here as well that will be good for rockets. There's the CASA there, Kerbal Aeronautics and Space Administration. Of course, I don't think it would be the Kerbal Aeronautics and Space Administration, because you wouldn't have a human Aeronautics and Space Administration. So Kerbal is the planet they represent, of course. At any rate, apart from that semantic discussion, let's see, there's another few. This one of the kind of UN inspired flag. This is a nice one for planting on various planets and moons. Then, of course, there's my one as well, the Admiral Design Bureau. And I think, yes, this is the same. This is the NASA one, of course. Was there anything else? There's the worm as well, CASA there. So I think for the space program, because we're the design bureau, we are not the space program itself. So the space program should have this logo. I like the worm in real life and in the game, so we'll go with that one. Then in the options, of course, here's where we get into the things. You'll see the rocket sound enhancement here. I won't touch that one. This is purely default for that mod. And so we have to look at everything else. So first of all, missing crews will not respawn. We have to have quick loading and reverting. I think that's just obvious. I don't want to make it super hard, especially if there's a series going on. Auto hire crew members, no. No entry purchase on research. I think there should be. We should pay to have those parts developed by the various subcontractors. Stock vessels we will not be using. No indestructible facilities. Persist Kerbal inventory loadout. I don't exactly know what that will do. We can always turn it on later if we need to. Of course, we'll allow the other launch sites. Re-entry heating is at maximum. Resource at 100. Enable com. All the rest I leave on stock or normal. Advanced. Of course, we'll enable the Kerbal experience. I won't let them level up immediately. I think you can do that anyway inside a lab module. But for the basic setting, I'll leave it as it is. We will not allow negative funds or science. At that point, the space program is dissolved and we are out of a job. Part pressure and G-force, certainly. And of course Kerbal G-force as well. I find in the 60s is usually a good setting. Just so you know, you have to keep in mind the re-entry G-forces. You can't just do what you want. Resource crossfeed, I don't think I want this on. It just makes things unnecessarily complicated. Action groups, I think there's no reason why we can't have action groups even with a small VAB. I think we'll put that on. Building damage I'll leave on default. Part upgrades, I still don't know exactly what this does. It's for old parts with new technologies, but I mean with every technology you get different parts, so I don't know if there's any replacements happening. We will not require a signal for control. Of course you have limited control if you're not in communication with the space center, but I don't want it to be completely uncontrollable. Of course we'd make provision for programming it, you know, and of course we are the ones doing the programming. Plasma blackout, yes. Range is normal, DSN is normal. Occlusion modifier, I think, actually first of all we're turning off the extra ground stations. With the extra ground stations there's no reason why you should build a geostationary or geosynchronous, in this case, satellite network, because you always have communication anyway. Doing this is much more fun. I've done this in a private career game, and it forces you to actually build your own ground stations using things that you parachute down with satellite dishes on them, and of course having geosynchronous satellites. So this should be fun. At first it's going to be tough because like we saw here with the signal for control, it means when we are on the other side of the planet, away from the space center, we're in trouble. At least we can't do the fine controls. For the vacuum occlusion, I want that on 1. We shouldn't be able to bend signals around an object. And for the atmosphere, I'll put it on 95. So there's a little bending of radio waves in the atmosphere, but not too much. And I think that's it. We'll accept this. Last YouTube series, April 2021. My dear comrades, here we go. Right, comrades, here we are in CCAN again, though this time of course the list is much shorter and I think much better, at least much better suited for our career. So, we have 21 mods here at the moment. X-Science continued. Unfortunately, this one is a bit out of date with the game version, but it should still work, just so I can always track if there's science that we need to do. We'll test this one and see how it works. Chatterer and Chatterer Extended, of course. Distant Object Enhancement continued. I think that's also a great one without having too much impact on the system. Docking Port Alignment Indicator, which is very useful, of course. Easy Vessel Switch is another one that I really love. Final Frontier is just one of those mods that basically tells us the achievements of our Kerbals. So it doesn't really change anything, it just adds a little bit of information. And I think this is great for a career, so we can see who did what first. And at the end of it all, we can look back and say, well, let's have a look who did what, and then we relive all of those memories again. Kerbal Alarm Clock, of course. Kerbal X mod. This is a very great mod. It allows me to directly upload our saves, the craft files, up to the Kerbal X site. And I've actually done this already with several of the ones that we built during the tutorial series all that time ago. So if you go to the Kerbal X site, right here, then of course you can just search here Admiral Andre. You don't need to use underscore, but it will also work underscore. That's my profile name. Then you see 3 of them here. Now these are the only 3 that I added the tag, my name as a tag, so it's not all of them. So you just have to click on one of them and then go to my profile here. Then you'll see the full list there. So of course I still have to add a few more, but that's okay. This is just to give us the basics. The Soyuz, Apollo, the Perseverance shuttle with the new engines, and a few of the others as well. With Apollo I still have to replace the lander engine, and of course the upper stage of the lander engine, the Spark, with the new models. You can also do that, but at the moment they're still the old ones. Right, back to CCAN. The KX API, this is just part of the Kerbal X mod to make it work. Module Manager, of course. Planet Shine is also a nice graphical mod to have. It doesn't take too much of the system's resources, and it just adds a little bit of extra pizzazz, as they say. The Rocket Sound Enhancement is a new one that I've tried recently, and I love this one because it revamps the sound of not just the rockets really, but the rover wheels and all kinds of things like that. You'll see as we play, for example, if you go in altitude with your rocket higher up in the atmosphere, the sound will become lower and lower and lower. Of course it never cuts out for gameplay purposes, but it certainly adds a lot to the game. Safe Shoot, of course, to cut the time warp right before we land. And then the other big one is the waterfall, the core, and of course the stock effects. This is a fantastic mod. In my opinion, it's much better than Real Plume, just because it revamps all of the various engine effects with a much nicer appearance, and we'll see that as well when we get into the game. Trajectories, of course, and the transfer window planner. That's it. So 21 mods. I don't have MacJeb. I've never used MacJeb, and I like to do everything myself, like docking and so on. And information wise, yes, the Kerbal Engineer is a great mod, but I think for us it's fine. The only real thing I would miss, for example, is the time to impact, that kind of thing, so we know when to do the suicide burn, but that's alright, we don't really need that. Then there was another suggestion, the FMRS mod, I think it's called, to allow us to basically recover different stages of rockets, and it's really interesting the way it works. It merges the save files and things like that. I'm a little scared to use it just in case it breaks the save file. Of course we also get the there's another mod, Rocket Recovery or something, I don't remember the name, but it also allows you stage recovery, that's right. It allows you to recover parts. But again, for the early part of the career, we don't really need that. So here's the list, and I certainly encourage you to have a look at them. Especially Rocket Sound Enhancement and Waterfall. Some of them are a bit out of date, but they still work, so I think we should be fine on that front. Nothing that adds any parts yet. Of course, we don't need station parts or base parts at the beginning of a career, so we can still consider those. But at the moment, this just allows me to easily upload anything to Kerbal X, and of course make it easy for you to play along if you want, so you don't need special mods for the parts. And that's also good if there's a new update, then the thing won't break again. Anyway, that's enough talking. Back to the game, comrades. Right, this is a new thing. I've just shown you the mod discussion as well. Thanks, Gene Kerman. This is the last time I will be seeing you in this game. Probably not. I mean, obviously over the coming decades I'll still play KSP and I'll still start new ones, but for our YouTube series this is the last one. Looks like this is a new save. Would you like to fetch your craft? No, we'll make new ones, but that's a nice option that it actually offers us that. That's great. So yes, here we are, comrades. This is our fledgling space program. And is there a flagpole? I think there should be. Yes, very small one, of course. But here is the Kerbal Aeronautics and Space Administration headquarters. Now, as before, we're not going to launch from here at the beginning. I like using the desert for our initial tests. It makes more sense that way. So we will do that. Now, here's the final frontier. No one has done anything yet. but it will automatically assign them achievements. No need for anything else, it's all fine, all good. So I think let's take our first contract from Mission Control. So, obvious, gather scientific data from Kerbal and launch our first vessel. Thank you very much. Now, let's just have a quick look at the Kerbals. We can't hire anyone, but I want to change their outfits. From this one to the kind of Soviet-inspired one. It seems a bit more old-fashioned in a way. Not quite as advanced as this one, or especially this one with a camera on the side. So I want this. Now, I think in any case they will have an orange suit. So I'll just put it on the normal default there. Same for you. Yes, just the plain one, no customizing, just so that it doesn't look so advanced. Anyway, there's no one here that catches my eye, and it's anyway not possible. Right, research and development, we can't do anything, but we start of course with the stock parts here, so we'll make it work. Into the vehicle assembly building we go, comrades, and thank you, Werner von Kerman. Right, let's begin. Excellent. Now, as the first part, again, these rockets are not going to be very glamorous, so we'll just take the normal command part because this one doesn't have any kind of reaction wheel system. So we'll just do this. And shall we just make it a plain white one? We'll keep it like this. This one looks a slightly older design, I think. This looks much cleaner, so we'll keep that for later. Then the parachute, which I think is probably the oldest part in KSP. If you go back right to the beginning of the very earliest versions of the game, they all have the same parachute, so it's one of the parts that stuck with us. Maybe they'll change that, but for now we'll still use it, of course. Then what do we have? Of course, just the basic flea. We don't even have a decoupler here. We don't need a basic fin, and it's anyway better not to get one. It will just try and throw the craft upside down. Don't need that. Of course, we need science, so let's get science. We have to do one on the ground. We'll do a test, and then of course low atmosphere anyway. Let's just have a look at this. Of course, as usual, we have to check our staging and our thrust limiter. Yes, let's make it so it just takes off, so it looks like we don't know what we're doing. Roleplay, you know. Shall we put a gold bar on there? Why not? Give ourselves a gold star. That's all the science we have. Should we have we don't even have an antenna. I'm just going through all of this. Don't need that. Right, so names, comrades, names. I have a list. Everyone who commented on the last discussion video, I have noted down your name. I have fed it through a randomizer and it will spit out a result in just a second. I just think let's come up with a name for this. Now this is really just a test craft, so I'm not going to name it anything fancy. I still have the 2 pieces of paper with the names on from before, like Horizon and Prodigy and so on. So for this, pick something that's not too fancy that we might want later. Let's call this the Pioneer. It's not a very inspired name, and of course it's ripping off real world ones, but it literally describes what we're doing. We're pioneering here. Pioneer 1, and then of course the name. The name is Baptiste. Now I know Baptiste, you said your name you don't think is worthy for being included. You want Olympus. So I will name it Baptiste Olympus. There you go. You are the first on the list, randomly chosen there. Now of course the flag here doesn't mind or matter. For us just now we'll use the Admiral Design Bureau. I know it changes the whole space agency, but for our design, you know, it's not really used for particular fancy missions, so we'll put our flag on. Now, of course, who's going to be first? Jeb has to be first. He is the ultimate legend, so we will go to the desert and I will see you there. Here we are, there we go, it's all good. Gather the science and of course launch the first vessel. Now, of course, if you want your name included on the list of rockets and satellites, this time I won't be naming anything after YouTubers, only after Comrades. So then just leave a comment and I will include you on the list. And then we'll go through there. And once we have used all of the names, we'll start again at the top. So, first of all, I think Jeb has to just get out and grab some EVA reports here. Of course, nothing too fancy there. Another crew report here. And that just says we've done an EVA here. Our first milestone, comrades. Right, I think let's launch this thing after we take another mystery goo right here. And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And we claw our way up into the heavens for the first time. There we go. We're gonna go quite high, I think. If we go above the surface, we're 200 meters now. Jeb, of course, can't do another crew report. I should have climbed out and had him put it in his pocket somehow. Observe the other mystery goo. That's fine. We'll be doing a lot of launches anyway. And not using mods also allows us to see, you know, all of the terrain and appreciate the changes that have been made. And of course, once we get into KSP2, we can compare this with the new visuals, which are stunning. By the way, I don't know if you've seen that. Some of the videos on the Kerbal Space Program official channel are actually unlisted. You have to go to Twitter and then on their announcements you have to click through there and then go to those unlisted videos. But I'll put one of the links below that shows the poll and how it's been remade in KSP2. You'll see it's stunning. I can't wait to explore all of those canyons and frozen riverbeds and hills and mountains. It looks so stunning. So I think that's why it's also better if we just use stock graphics here. Then we'll see that and we'll truly be shocked by how gorgeous it looks in KSP2 rather than using mods here, of course. So now we're just going down. Nothing too groundbreaking. Of course, for this game it is groundbreaking. It's never happened before. We'll just wait until we get down to the ground. And of course not on the pad, so we can take even more science here. We have completed our contracts. And we are actually gliding. The surface here does have some aerodynamic properties. It's actually gliding us to the side there. And of course now I can just fast forward. It will drop us out of time warp before we hit the ground. We should have an explosion anyway, but it doesn't really matter. Right, now you haven't really seen the waterfall effects in this launch, but you will see them once we start using the bigger rockets. There, it drops us out of warp and we have a nice landing. Now of course we're upside down, we just have to roll. And then I can say EVA, take the data, give me another EVA report. I think that's all you can do here. Then board again. Maybe you can do another crew report. I don't know if this is different from that pad. But then we just recover. Let's see what we get. Nothing too extravagant, but still, we have to start somewhere. Right, 22.8, so we have 31 science. Wonder how that gets to 31. Maybe it counts the science we have at the beginning? I don't know. Well, it might be also for the mission itself, not just for the data collected. Of course, that makes sense. So Baptiste Olympus, it wasn't a very fancy mission, but it was very worthwhile. Parts, we do get a little bit of money back. Of course, because it's in the desert, we don't get as much as if it was here, but that's alright. And 1 XP for Jeb. Right, done. And of course, Jeb gets his first ribbons. This I love. So he gets Research 1. First landing on Kerbal. The speed record of 100 meters per second. And the altitude of 1 kilometer. Not much, but hey, for the first time it's fantastic. Now this basically says the same thing. 2000 meters, etc. And achieve the goal. Launch our first vessel. And achieve the goal. And launch countdown there, the data. Right, 31 science, let's spend it. Now what do we need? Basic rocketry I think is a must, so we'll get our people to start researching that. And of course engineering as well. I don't think we'll go further for now. We can, but I think maybe we should do this to get more science. Let's do that. Now, what I'm going to do here is the same that I did in my own career game, which is still ongoing anyway. I don't buy parts unless I actually need them, because that is more of a role play which says we are asking people or companies to develop those for specific missions. So you'll see what I mean. Now, let's see, what do we want? Of course, this has to make a bit of sense here. Some of these missions I don't like because their requirements can be quite difficult to get. 4 to 720 meters. We're not going to go straight for orbit. Flight, this is not happening. TD12 decoupler, we can do that. Focused observational, no, none of this is happening because this is special locations and we don't have a basic plane yet. So I think the parachute, we'll try that one. Now who's giving us this? OMB and R&D. So let's develop our second rocket, which will be the Pioneer 2. And this will be named after Comrade Quantum X. Great name there. So let's just, I think, start new. We'll use the same capsule with the same parachute, of course. I'm not going to have those developed yet. We are going to ask Probadobadyne to develop us a barometer that we can use for our experiments, which should work on any planet with an atmosphere. Of course we know that, but I'm role-playing. And the Too Hot also by Probadobadyne, so their subcontractors are getting to work. And I think we'll also ask Ionic, Symphonic, Protonic Electronics to develop us a Communitron antenna here, but one that we don't need to deploy. I'll just paste it there over our flag, so maybe I'll take the flag off here. Toggle flag just looks a bit better, otherwise it looks like we're just slapping things together, which is what we are doing, but anyway. We'll test the first heat shield, so OMB, please develop that for us. Right, I don't think we need so much ablator. We'll put 20 on. We're testing the concept of a heat shield. We've never done this before, but from our previous test we realized that the cabin was getting a little bit hot. Not really, I mean it was very low in the atmosphere, but we understand the concept that you can get compression, heating and friction and all of that happening during a drop from a very high altitude. Of course we're not talking about orbit yet, so we're testing out the very basic heat shield. I love role-playing, so we're gonna do that. Now, our first decoupler as well. This is the one they want us to test. I love the gold, so we'll go with gold. Maybe gold is too fancy for the beginning. Then, let's do a fuel tank. Jebediah Kerman's Junkyard and Spaceship Parts Company is developing some fuel tanks for us. Now all that we have to test in this mission is of course the parachute and the decoupler, so we'll do the decoupler right on the bottom. Jeb's company is also developing our first engine for us, the swivel. Now we should be careful, I don't want us to leave the atmosphere yet. We're not getting paid to do that yet, so let's not. Right, this should be good just to get us a decent altitude. Now there is a service bay as well. Found laying by the side of the road, so somebody just repurposed that for us. Let's put everything in here. Let's be proper scientists, eh? The mystery goo, of course. We'll take 2 or 3 of those. Never know where we will land. Same with the press mat thing, and of course the thermometer. Now should we even put the antenna in here? It's a little tricky to just get it right, but of course I can move it here. Now I've seen on some of my older videos that comrades complain when I talk too much about building rockets and things. Now of course this doesn't apply here, this is a very basic design, but for the more complicated ones, if we're doing recreations again, get ready. I talk a lot, that's how I do it, so of course comrades can always skip ahead, there's no one stopping that from happening. Of course I do like to make it look nice. Now the problem here is of course the center of mass. It's a little top heavy. Let's take out the monopropellant. It might still not be enough. Just for that reason I'll put more ablator on. It's still just a test, but we need to also be aware of aerodynamics. Now I think that's all apart from the decoupler. This will be like our very early launch clamp system. I could put on girders to make it look a little more interesting. Let's do that, just for the sake of it. And you will fire at the same time. Right, now again of course I have to name this Pioneer 2 Quantum X, and this time it will be Valentina. We need to make sure we share the achievements. Let's go. Right, let's go. First of all I have to do a... Should I do a crew report? No, we've done that here. What was it that I missed? Let's just do all of the various tests right now. I think I did do the mystery goo. Yes, we can get a little bit more. It's not really worth it. Pressure data, this just helps us to again set the you know, if we're doing the scientific collection of data on other planets and moons, we need to have like a baseline, so this gives us the baseline of course. And the thermometer, 296 Kelvin, I don't know what that is in Celsius or Fahrenheit even, but there we go. Keep that one, and I think that's it. Let's just do an EVA, don't fall down please. No, we are all good here. I think it was actually a crew report. No, that's fine. Getting all flustered there. Anyway, let's do the launch, right? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Beautiful. Now we understand the concept of a launch clamp system. And we did the contract. Now here you can see the new effects from waterfall. It also of course activates the turbo pump exhaust there. And there we go. So shock diamonds starting to form there as well. And of course as we go higher, the sound mod, which you don't see here, but it will start muffling the sounds, and if you're inside You hear the rattling and everything. Is it gonna fall apart? Well, it's an early rocket, so you never know. Now we're gonna do quite the altitude here, but that's alright. Let's actually open this now. Log the data. I think this is fine. No, reset. Log the temperature. Now we start to understand more about the composition of the atmosphere. And now you see, of course, the rocket plume starting to expand. And it's really clever. Anyway, it's out now. How the mod does this, it completely randomizes the effects there the whole time. So it's very interesting. Now we'll drop the stage, of course. It's a little bit of money, but it's not that big of a deal. Now, are we high enough? Yes, upper atmosphere. We'll transmit this for the first time. And of course we also now learn that we need enough battery power. We'll do a temperature here. We'll do a mystery goo. And we will do pressure data. And we'll close that. And we'll just get ourselves positioned here. And of course then hope that the experiments don't blow up. But Valentina reaches just above 23 kilometers above sea level, of course. So we're starting to get there. We're starting to get to the upper atmosphere now. And of course I have to test the parachute now. I have to remember this. This is the tricky one. Our speed is too high. It will drop, of course. This is where things can get a bit tricky. Let's see, hopefully we can wrap this one up now. We're starting to slow down. Mission control giving some updates there. Of course I have all of the extra chatterer sets enabled. That's very important to remember that. Come on, bring the speed down a bit more. It's not gonna work. We're in the altitude zone, but I have to deploy. I can't, there's also not a test button here, so we'll have to do that in the next launch. And there goes the stage. Well, it still worked, right? Now, is this the mountains? We're close to the pyramids, of course. We'll have to pay those a visit soon. 7 should be okay. It might blow up the heat shield, but that's what it's for. No, it's okay. Extra sound effects there as well. Do a crew report from the highlands. That's great. It's a new biome. Get out. EVA report. Board. Open this. Take a new mystery goo sample. Now I think I'll have to just get Valentina to collect these. Take the data. Take the data and then board so I can do the tests again. Right, there we go. Recover the vessel. Unfortunately now that contract is still outstanding, but anyway, this was a very fruitful mission. So we'll just wait for our report. .7 science. Valentina certainly is a champion with gathering lots of data here. Parts, we did get some of the money back again. And Valentina has some XP and she gets the Research 2 ribbon. The 1500 meter mountain lander ribbon. I didn't even know it was there. It was a thing, but it is. the altitude record now and the speed record ribbon as well. So this is the same as Jeb, but it's good. It tracks everyone's achievements. I think that's all for the first episode, comrades. I don't want to make these too super long, at least not yet. I mean, the missions are still very simple. We'll spend our science in the next episode. Perhaps I will make one before Friday. Just, you know, otherwise you have to wait a whole week. But in any case, you know there will be an episode every Friday. So in anticipation of the weekend, of course. So thank you for joining me, comrades. And let's see where our adventures take us. In this series, I want us to land on every planet or moon, excluding Jewel, of course, and the Sun. Let's not be too crazy. And bringing the Kerbals safely back home to Kerbin. That is our mission, so I'll be like the president here, Kennedy. So we'll pretend we set our mission, not just for the moon, of course, but for all of the bodies that you can actually properly land on. So we'll get to all of them in time, comrades. Let's just get our rewards here, some good data and extra money. So, of course, like I like to do, I like to add 3 zeros on the money. So this means right now we have, what would that be? 141, not thousand, but million. So, of course, then we have 141 million Kerbal dollars funds. I'll just say Kerbucks or something like that. And it's not a lot yet, but we're getting somewhere, and our reputation is slowly also creeping up. Anyway, I'll see you in the next episode, comrades. Have a great day and keep watching the skies.